You hear about NFL players or people, professional athletes, never knowing what to do with their money, and they hire somebody and they like take all their money because they're not as involved as they should be, or they don't understand the business side of it. They just want to play. So I thought it was cool that I got to do it in 10th grade. I ended up deciding that I wanted to major in accounting because this is back in 04, 03. I was like, well, I need to find something that's not going to go away with robots and technology. In accounting, you can hire as many people in computers, but you still gonna need one person to go in and verify, like that is not gonna be a computer. So it's like it was job security for me.
Rally Marketing is the one-stop shop.
Thank you for having me again, Raleigh.
Yeah, welcome to the Raleigh Marketing Stamp. I am live here with Wendi White, AKA Wendi Consulting LLC. She's also an AKA.
Oh yes, we're coming into Founders Day soon. Let's go. Your girl about to be going on 16 years. Holla at me.
As an AKA?
Yes.
Whoa.
And I've been active the entire 16 years.
Wow.
I take it very seriously.
16 years as an AKA.
Yes.
You know, time is not stopping. It's like
No.
to say, you think about like what was happening 16 years ago?
It was 2000. It was 2007. I was a sophomore at A&T, just crossed. I was an accounting major. I was working full time at Arby's as a manager because I was trying to get in-state tuition because I was from Virginia.
It only take like a year to get it though, right?
I got it, so I started my freshman year. I ended up getting it sophomore summer school. You want to talk about somebody hype. Like my tuition went from like 8 G's to 1,500.
Okay.
Because that's how big of a difference it was.
Interesting. Now, so shouting out your your alma mater for your undergrad. What school is that?
North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. No, I'm an Aggie Prize. So I did A&T for undergrad, best accounting program. I loved it. I tell people all the time, you know, going to any college is cool. Like, I went to JMU for grad school, and let me just tell you, by far, JMU's campus is gorgeous, gorgeous. And I love their campus, but I'm still very glad that I went to an HBCU for undergrad because I still feel like that is the only time in life you're gonna see brown people walking around like you, doing what you're doing, because when you go into corporate America, because I don't think much has changed from when I went in corporate America in 09, I was always, not necessarily the token, but I was always the only black female. Because of being in the accounting realm, that's more heavily a male-dominated field. But over the years, as time has gone by, more women have taken over the accounting realm, and a lot more men are maybe managers. I always tell people, some of my best managers were men. The women are the ones that gave me the issues. My male managers, when I used to be like, I don't feel good, they'd be like, all right. I didn't have to be like, well, you know, I gotta write a note. Like, they didn't bother you as much as like women do. Like, they weren't as like, I say petty, that's what my word is. Because I tell people all the time, you know, it doesn't matter if you didn't go to college. Everybody does a school of life. You just have it done differently if you go to college. And I had the opportunity to do 4 years at a university that I love. I'm going to homecoming this year, but go back, I give back. I've done volunteering for them. I was a part of the Richmond alumni chapter here. I was a treasurer for like 4 years. So like, I'm very active with it. So not as active with JMU because I did that grad, but I still, you know, pop in with some of their events. But I love that, you know, going to an HBCU is really cool now.
Yes. Now, so in serving as a treasurer for extracurricular activities, did you do it with the AKAs as well? Any finance stuff?
Of course, and I'm actually back the treasurer now. So I did almost 4 years back in 2016, and then my president had asked me if I would mind doing it again, and I said sure. And it's funny because when you do something the first time, it's like you're learning. This second go around, I feel like I'm like, you know, I'm a CEO. It's like I got this, and it was interesting to see how things have like changed on the system from, you know, like the software, but everything is still the same as far as the backdrop of it. You still gotta write checks. I gotta reconcile, you know, the only thing is now we're using like QuickBooks virtually, you know, the one that's online and not the desktop version, which is better. I'm not trying to plug, I am gonna plug QuickBooks because I do get, you know, what is it, the little code the code, but it's better online than the desktop because you can take it anywhere and you can give several people access that may need to have you access. So.
Okay. Did you say reconcile? Did you just talk like accounting jargon? You just went over half some of our people's heads using these accounting terms, but that's good stuff. So how much experience would you say you have in this finance, accounting, management space?
I know when we talked the first time, I don't know how deep we got into my background, but I've been doing taxes since 10th grade when I took my first accounting class. So back then you learned about T accounts, debits and credits, how to reconcile like a checkbook. Because to me, that accounting class was important because for some people in the area that I lived at, which was downtown Newport News, they weren't necessarily exposed to everything that like I may have been because I came from a military background. So my background was different. I did high school down there. So I had seen the world and traveled. So my understanding of money was different than theirs. And I thought it was a great opportunity because children don't get introduced to money until sometimes like you hear about NFL players or professional athletes never knowing what to do with their money, and they hire somebody and they like take all their money because they're not as involved as they should be, or they don't understand the business side of it. They just want to play. So I thought it was cool that I got to do it in 10th grade. I ended up deciding that I wanted to major in accounting because this is back in 04, 03. I was like, well, I need to find something that's not going to go away with robots and technology. In accounting, you can hire as many people in computers, but you still gonna need one person to go in and verify like that it's not gonna be a computer. So it's like it was job security for me.
Makes sense. Now, I feel like that is a hot topic right now, this part where you said knowing the business side of something.
Yes.
I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care if you're in the music industry, film industry, photography industry, whatever, service you seek to provide or whatever you're trying to do to express your gifts in the world, right? Knowing the business side is everything. It's the lifeblood to any organization. How can you help small businesses excel or maybe understand the business side of their brand a little bit better?
I think in order for that to happen, I feel like you have to take like, not necessarily like a crash course, but I really do feel like you should sit down with somebody like me or somebody who has a background in accounting or finance that is going to tell you like the nitty gritty as far as like, do you have a budget? Because you have people to have an idea. Let's take for example, and I'm gonna just use a mug. I have a mug that I wanna make, and it's Wendi Consulting LLC. A lot of people don't understand that this is not just a $25 mug. Why is it $25? Well, you need to understand the cost of the cup, the cost to put the logo, the cost of manufacture. Then you have shipping, you have ink, you have postage. You have all of these things on the back end that make up the price. But a lot of people don't understand costing. And so I have a lot of people that when I talk to clients, that I talk to them, and I'd be like, send me over what you charge people. Because if you're not raising your rates at least once a year, you're killing yourself. Because don't people get raises every day at work? Yearly at work? Why wouldn't you give yourself, a 5 or 10% raise in your pricing? Because if your work is good, people aren't gonna mind paying for it. Indeed. So I think that sitting down with somebody like me to talk about costing, to talk about your budget, to talk about, like when we were talking about me, who are you trying to market to? Because like for marketing, I always say I'm gonna get them to Riley because he would get them the help that they need. Like I have some people, I'll be like, what type of marketing are you trying to do? Like, are you trying to put a $500,000 in, or are you trying to start off slow and build it up, purchasing ads on Instagram or something like that? Like, what are you trying to do? How are you trying to market yourself? Word of mouth? Do you already have a clientele base? Because a lot of people don't look at their circle as people that they can advertise to. And I say that to me like, I consider Riley a part of my circle, my business circle. He might not use my products, but he may know somebody who does, and they can give them my information. But a lot of times people don't even tap into that. So it's more so having somebody sit down and talk to you and give you like the one-on-one, because you might have an excellent idea, but you don't know how to execute it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like when I had my cleaning business, I remember there was a contract that came up with the government for the Department of Motor Vehicle, and it was one of their branches that was like in Northern Virginia. So we're based in Central Virginia, which is about an hour and 30 minutes. I think it was Lorton. It was in the Lorton area of Virginia. So the DMV was in Lorton. I'm based in Central Virginia. And so I went to one of my consultants about it, and they was like, what would you charge these people? I'm like, you know, something like $1,500, you know, for this, $1,500 a month, I'm saying. So they was like, Riley, $1,500 a month. Let's look at this. All right, $1,500.
I'm about to write it out. Because, you know, I love doing some numbers. Okay, you said 15.
I was like, I'll just charge them $1,500 a month, nothing too much. I'm just throwing a number. I'm just throwing a number in the air.
You ain't even.
I'm just like,
it's the work was.
Right. I'm just like, that's about $1,500.
Yeah.
And so she's like, all right, she said, let's write that out. All right, so how far is this place from you? Let's break down the gas that takes, because the requirement was you had to come clean DMV every day after they closed.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So it was like, I think 6 days a week, you had to come clean up the DMV. So this contract requires 6 days a week. So then my consultant said, well, how many people you think you're gonna need to help you? I said, probably gonna take 3, maybe 3 people. How much you paying these people? I'm like, probably $20 an hour, most likely. Like, all right, you paying $20? How many hours things gonna take to clean up with 3 people? I'm like, I don't know, maybe 4 hours each day. So we started breaking down all these numbers, and I think, but by the time we finished, I think we was at probably 5K or something, you know. And it's like, where'd you come up with this random number, and you think you're giving a deal, and you about to go out of business,
yeah, I'm
bro?
about to say you're hurting yourself because you're not charging enough. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not. So definitely look at the numbers. That's what I said. I think you made a valid point about budgeting and looking at the actual cost of production for something. Someone in finance can be a great asset to your team, you know.
I think it's good to have different people on your team. So like, to me personally, if I could go back and rewind because I've been doing this 3 years now at this point. If I could go back and rewind, what would I do differently? So when I first started my business, I didn't spend what I didn't have. So like I needed a website, but I didn't get the website until I had made the money from the first quarter of the year to pay for it. That was something that I would continue to do because it's better to not go into debt heavily when you first start and give yourself some time to make some money. I think the other thing that I would have done is I think I would have sat down with you from the beginning and did like a blueprint of what I wanted my marketing to look like. When I first started, I had clients because I had been doing it for years, but I just never made it into a business. So it wasn't like I didn't have clientele, but it was more so like, how do I make myself visible to people who don't know me? Because when you first start an Instagram page, you know, you have to post certain things or people will think it's, you know, a scam or fraud. You know how people always have a Bitcoin this or something weird. So I didn't know how to market myself. I think I went to Canva and did, like, it's so interesting when I look at like my old promo versus now. And it's good because you want to evolve, but you'd be like, dang, I really was just out here just winging it when I first started. So I definitely would have had like marketing, I think, super important. I think if you don't do anything else, you need to do marketing, and you need to make sure the legal, and you need to make sure the accounting part of your business is done.
Yeah, make sure your business structure is legit. Absolutely. And one thing I notice from a lot of small businesses who I chat with, you know, a lot of times they do not have a budget. You know, even for something similar as photography. You know, people will come and they're a brand that needs to stay visible all the time. And I'm like, well, you need to make sure you have a bank of images, you know, for the month. So you should do photo shoots like once a month. So I encourage small businesses, make sure you have a budget set aside for your content, for content creation. So, you know, you don't have to scramble February 1st just trying to figure, oh yeah, it's February 1st. Let me figure out what to post real quick, you know, versus planning it out.
And to be honest with you, when I first started, I was so on point with like, I was settled, because at first, one of the things I do regret is I was trying to outsource everything too quickly because I'm one of those people, like if it's not my strong suit, I don't want to do it. So like, for example, marketing wasn't my strong suit, so I didn't mind finding somebody for marketing. But I remember I was using like an app that would post for me. And then I was just like, well, wait, I could post myself, because some of them like Instagram, Facebook already interchanged. I think you can even add Twitter to it. Like it was like we only had to do it one time and post to different places. And I think that helps me become more visible on social media, because when you do it yourself and you see people, you're interacting with them, you're meeting new clients, it's making you more visible. Because when I use social media just for marketing, it's very lucrative. Like it's very helpful. It's so much different to be a consumer versus a producer. And when you're talking about Instagram, because when you're looking at it as a producer, you're looking at the marketing, the color, the lighting, what did they have in their shots, out of this. But when you're a consumer, it's just like, well, what would somebody be interested in looking at? Like, would this catch their eye? Would they read this article for a minute? Because what I've learned, especially with accounting or anything business, people don't want to be looking at something for 2-3 minutes. I always try to do like a quick summary, because I feel like people's attention span isn't that big. So
I mean, we got to pay attention to all the shifts on each platform. Like even from Instagram, like Instagram had IGTV at one time, right?
They did.
Because they were competing with YouTube.
They were competing with YouTube.
Then you saw YouTube even pay attention to the shifts, and they started creating shorts.
Yep, they did.
Which are 15 seconds.
They did.
But now they let the shorts be 60 seconds. So when you're uploading, you got to actually click 15 seconds or 50
Kind of like
seconds.
how the reels were. The reels started at 15 seconds. I think now they go to 90, but you do have to click the 90. I don't know.
Yeah, like they've evolved, but they're paying attention to us though. That's what's happened. They're studying most of the time when you have big corporations and who make moves. They're not just making moves just because.
No,
they've studied something. Like how Instagram's president, he'll come out and be like, "Okay, everyone, TikTok's killing us, so we're gonna be like TikTok now." I'm
gonna tell you right now, I'm not putting TikTok. I don't have TikTok. First of all, I feel like how like for me, for example, Facebook I was one of the first people to use Facebook because it was only for college students back in 2005, right? Boom. Then Instagram came out like in 2009, I think. I've had Instagram since it started because I had an iPhone back then, because I've had Instagram. I miss the old days of Instagram where like everybody's videos, everything was in chronological order. You didn't get it to be, given what you think you want to see. Like when they started playing with the algorithm, I did not like that.
Yeah.
And then when they stopped making it just about photos, like I know that things evolved, but like I miss the old Instagram where it was just pictures and where you could just like something, and I think it was maybe one other thing, that's all you could do. Now I feel like it's become like its own machine because of how big it's become as far as like money wise. So.
I mean, I think Instagram is a great example of I would say like a brand trying to find themselves, because we all go through evolution, right? And it's like, I'm listening to the president of Instagram talk about, well, YouTube's killing us, they're still the king. TikTok came out of nowhere. Snapchat was hurting them at one point. And it's like, so they're watching all their competition like, oh no, I gotta do something. I gotta do something because these other people are a threat. So then they started to copy all the Snapchat's filters.
Yeah,
they started to copy
let me tell you about something. Snapchat filters are still top tier. I feel like Instagram and them have tried their best to copy them, but like Snapchat, that's where the kids are. Like the kids are on Snapchat and they use those filters. I've never downloaded TikTok. I do not plan on it. I don't understand the fascination with TikTok. What is it?
TikTok, well, all right, if we base it on how, like you said, I miss the old Kanye, you miss the old Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people felt that way. Instagram was the picture sharing platform, right?
And that's what they were known for, pictures.
Right, and then at some point they started to switch up. So when they did that, they started messing with everybody's algorithm. They started shadow banning us. So then if we had built up, we did all this work to build up our following to get to the 5,000 or the 300. Our 300 or 5,000 couldn't even see us. They wouldn't see our content.
I did not know that.
Unless they would type our names in, they wouldn't see our content.
That's interesting. Because I heard that they were doing shadow banning on Twitter, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know that they were doing it on Instagram. But I will say this though. I can tell a difference. If I just post something without a hashtag, you get more hits with hashtags than you do just posting it regular.
Right.
Especially if you're trying to let's say, you know, you're trying to branch out to a new area, so you use their area code or their name, I get more likes or more views. Because for me, I want people to understand this. Don't worry about your likes. Do not worry about your likes. Because I'll have something where it'll be like 800 impressions, but only 2 people liked it. That doesn't matter. It's more about who saw it. And that's why I like the business part of Instagram, because you can see like what your actual numbers really look like.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, just because you don't have a whole bunch of likes doesn't mean people didn't see it. Because a lot of times people are haters, or maybe they don't want you to, you know, it used to be, the Instagram used to tell you when somebody liked something. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
like, it used to be like,
remember
it was on the tab, and it was like on some stalker type stuff,
Yeah,
where it would be
tell
like,
you.
you know, Riley liked such, and you'd be like, who is this girl? You know, like,
Yeah.
and it'd be all in people's business, and of course they changed that, but that's like the old Instagram. We used to be able to see what people were really doing.
Yeah.
Same thing with Facebook. I love Facebook when you could just like, poke, and send a message. All this other stuff that they did to it.
But that's where TikTok came in with their uniqueness. So like going back to the old Instagram,
Okay.
then the Instagram started to incorporate all this new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when they did that, they started to mess with our algorithm and started to kind of shadow ban a lot of us. And they would try to only let you see what you are most likely to click on.
Yeah.
So then a lot of our content was not being seen. So now a new platform comes out and they're not shadow banning anybody. And they're like promoting you. They're helping your content get seen. They're helping you get seen by thousands and thousands of people. So that's where a lot of the shift came from. Oh, well, they're not shadow banning us. They letting my content thrive. They letting my followers see me first.
They let me go off.
Yeah, so like where then you can build an audience super fast on TikTok because of the algorithm of TikTok. You know, where like I remember the first thing I posted on TikTok, I just was trying it out one day. I posted like an Al Bundy post where it was his wife, Peg Bundy. She was talking about why she needed like 300 pairs of shoes. She was like, I need black for this, red for this. She had like doing a whole breakdown. I just posted that. And I think I got like 1,700 hits just posting on my first day. So it's just interesting versus like, I don't know, I just thought it was an interesting difference with the algorithm or whatever.
I agree. And I also feel like a lot of, and you know more about marketing than me, but I will say this based on my personal experience. A lot of times what time you post matters as well. To me, it's similar like with TV. You know, people up at 6 in the morning, yeah, but probably more at 8, 9 o'clock, because you're catching the people who go to work every day. They got to get up, and what do people do when they first get up? They get their phone and they go to the bathroom or they get dressed, and so they're more likely to look than, you know, somebody who, let's say a college student who doesn't get up or doesn't have class till lunch or whatever may have you. Then you think about the evening rush. Most people are gonna look at their phone around 5 or 6, maybe not at 1, 2 in the morning or 12, because most people are asleep unless you are an entrepreneur or just somebody who is a night owl, because entrepreneurs, I feel like, never sleep. But, because I feel like we get the most content done in the evening when everybody is asleep. I mean, my opinion, but.
It depends on everybody's system, you know. But I'll say this, like, the time, I mean, even as a marketing person, the timing, I think, will still have to do with your audience and who you're trying to
100%.
reach and things like that. But I'll say this, one time I posted on Instagram at maybe on an odd hour, 3 a.m., and this post got like 7,000 hits at 3 in the morning. I cannot explain it to you. Versus like the other times I post them at lunchtime and got a lot of hits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't really explain all of it. It's just sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it's like, I don't know.
I mean, that's similar to like, so for example, I'm looking at this one where my first post where I wrote and said, get ready for taxes, what's new, what's to consider when filing in 2023. 19 people liked it, but I don't know if it'll let me look at the impressions from here on the computer, but it was like 1,000 people saw it. And that's why I'm saying when I tell people like, don't get caught up in likes. Because like you said, it could be timing, it could be, I don't know what like certain people liking it and it pushing it into their timeline. Like maybe they've had similar people that liked it. It went into their, what is it called? The discovery or whatever they call it anymore. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly a learning curve. It's constantly evolving. You figure out Instagram and then they'll update the app. And they're like, we got a new feature. We're trying.
No, so the new feature now is they think that they BBM, BlackBerry Messenger for all my old heads. They think they're BBM. Now they have like where you can do the little like note or whatever, like your daily update or daily, I don't know, message.
I'll call it a Facebook post at this point. That's how Facebook was. Like,
What?
like you had a status or whatever, you type it in.
Oh, that was a long
That's
time
like
ago.
a Facebook thing, I thought.
I forgot all about that.
So they bringing that back.
No. That was like Twitter. Like I used to love Twitter when it first came out because Twitter was fun to watch in real time. Like, cause it was like you were watching with all your friends and they were all tweeting and saying things and it would be fun. But then I got to a point where I was like, I'm not really understanding the purpose of Twitter, so I just deleted it. I wish I would not have deleted it and I would have kept it because I had a genuine people that I could have used for marketing as far as like that actually knew me. So like restarting from scratch on Twitter is interesting, but Twitter to me is still a better go-to place when you're getting information. It's coming straight off like with no filter. It's still to me the most, like I don't want to say rawest, but you know, just they have the most information is being released and you don't have to worry about, you know, someone needing to confirm it or whatever. They just put it out there.
Yeah.
So because it's the people doing it.
Yeah.
Now, I will say when, you know, Twitter got purchased, I was kind of like, you know.
Did it officially get purchased?
Yeah, so I do believe that the owner of Tesla did purchase it. And then they had what we call layoffs. And this is what was interesting. When he laid off all his people, yes, it was wild, but at the same time, that meant that Twitter was top heavy. And that they knew that, but they didn't want to let those people go. And so, of course, when you have a new person come in, they look like the bad guys, but he already knew, look, we got to trim $20 million. These people got to go. But then that sparked something to me. We in a recession. If they laying off tech people, come on now. I keep seeing every day, Amazon cut this, and it was like Nextdoor or something. It was a Salesforce company. If we cutting jobs like this, in tech, could you imagine what's being done for other industries?
Right.
So to me, I don't know if people know, but we are in a recession. And I hope you do know that. Like the last time we were in a recession was when Obama was in office, or right before Obama came into office, because I remember that Bush gave out stimulus checks. I'm talking about the second Bush, not the first. The second Bush gave out stimulus checks because I remember I worked, and so I got the $250. He was doing that to push the economy. So that was a recession. The problem with it now is that we're in a recession because COVID. We ain't going nowhere. Everybody was stacking. They were giving out COVID relief money, and now they want their money back. And that is why everything is going back up. Nothing in life is for free. I just want everybody to know that.
Yeah,
Nothing is for free.
Very true. So what suggestions do you have for the small business person right now? I always think about having the ability to pay attention to shifts, pay attention to trends, but then like pay attention to your business and then where you might need to pivot or add a service, like any accounting suggestions or from a finance perspective. What should businesses be doing right now in this quarter, January 2023, going into February 2023? What do you think we should be focused on right now?
Well, I think you should be focused on the due date for taxes, which is April 18th. So if you owe, you have to make or set up a payment plan by April 18th to not endure any interest on your taxes. With that said, to be honest, January is that fluff month because can't quite do taxes, but you can, but you don't have everything. For me, as far as business owners, the best advice I would give you is get your stuff in order, like get your receipts, your mileage, anything business related, get it all organized. Don't just bring your tax person a box, file it and put it into organize it into different files. I have it now where like some of my clients, they're just so awesome. Some of them use QuickBooks, some of them use Excel, but it's all very simple for me to follow. And I feel like, when you make your when you make your accountant happy, we're all happy. So that would be one of the things I would say. Another thing is, this is the time to, if you had not done a budget in the fourth quarter, do one now. And, use it to, do, like, let's say, for example, we're in the first quarter now. If you already if you were in business last year, you can use your budget to actual from last year, compare it, and say, all right, we want to increase 5% or whatever may have you. this would be a perfect time to start looking at a budget for yourself. But let's just be clear, budget should be done in the fourth quarter, not the first. So I just want to say that. When you have a budget for the year, like for 2023, that should have been done in November, December, so that you could start rolling it out now.
Makes sense.
Another thing I could think of would be, I know at least for me, it would be planning. One of the things that I feel like some business owners may not understand is you might have peaks and, peaks that you're really busy, but then you have the valleys where you go low and you don't have anything. Being able to have ideas that will keep your money consistent so that you're not going down and you're somewhat staying, it's kind of steady. And I mean, that would be one thing, or another thing.
So, yep, keeping some type of consistent revenue stream. That's a good point. I mean, that's any business needs a consistent revenue stream. So, I mean,
or partnerships, or like I think for me, for example, one of my goals this year is I would love to teach a class to kids. Period.
What are kids to you? Because you say kids on Snapchat. So who are these kids? What's this definition of kids?
I think kids to me, because my son is 8, so I'm thinking anybody between the age of 10 and 15.
Okay.
Because that's the sweet spot age where like they'll listen, and if you tell them early enough, you training them up, they'll be consistent. My high school now has a bank, a real bank, where kids can go in and deposit at the credit union. That is amazing, because some kids don't even know what a bank is or never been to one because maybe their parents didn't put their money in the bank, or they didn't understand for example, my son has a credit card. He has not touched it, but he's an authorized user because I want to build his credit now, because that's what a lot of people do when they're trying to help their kids out. They add them as authorized users. So it's not kind of like doing, exposing children to information, because it's not that they don't want to do it, it's just they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would definitely be on my board, 10 to 15 years old.
Okay. So business owners right now should be getting ready, getting organized, planning.
Tax season is upon us.
Tax season is here. Do you do taxes for people, or you just teach? Like, what is your service?
I do both. So I love to talk, and I'll come and talk to anybody about taxes and inform them on, not taxes, but anything, accounting. If you ask me what your goal is, I can do my presentations to be tied to that. I definitely still do taxes for a small business, S corps, individual, them all. Also can help with budgeting. I can also help you with planning. I also help with payroll, because I can tie payroll into QuickBooks. And so I can help to pay your taxes and make sure that you're doing all that throughout the year. I help people with 1099s. I do it all.
How about we hear from some of your prior customers, and we'll play their video now.
I've been working with Wendi for about 6 years now. And two of the reasons that I love working with Wendi is, number one, I trust her. And number two, she's thorough. She follows through with federal, she follows through with state, down to the last dime. And I love that.
I'm Wendi White from Wendi Consulting LLC, and I've been stamped again by Raleigh Marketing. If you're interested in my services now through April 18th, you can get 10% off using promo code STAMPED, STAMPED. Thank you.
Rally Marketing